So here is what's so interesting. So the way we tend to receive love, our primary love language is usually also the way that we demonstrate love, we give love. And so if you want to know what your spouse's love language is, just watch them and watch how they give you love.
Right.
Hello and welcome to a Purpose-Driven Marriage podcast. We are Dwayne and Nadine Stewart, and we love any and all things marriage. You've tuned into the right place if you're looking for actionable, practical tips to help you overcome real-life obstacles common to real relationships. We're here to help you strive for a marriage as God has designed it and not as the world has defined it. Because why settle for a good marriage when you can have a great one?
We're happy to be back. Super excited to have another episode, get to sit down together to talk about a couple things.
Yes, we are continuing our communication series. And the title of today's episode is Speaking Their Love Language, How to Communicate What Your Spouse Really Needs. Right?
So what's interesting about that is that everybody has a different love language.
Yes.
You know, but I think this might be a topic that may not be visited as often as it probably should, because it could be the key to really helping your spouse to feel appreciated and heard and seen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel like at least the past 3 weeks we've been saying this might be the key to whatever it was.
You're right. You're right.
You know?
So maybe there's a lot of keys, but if you focus on one of those keys, it's not going to be a bad thing.
No, it won't be.
You know, who's ever had a keychain with just one key on it? I mean,
you?
the janitors have lots of keys. They got, many doors that they have to open. Women are complicated, so they require a lot of keys. That's what I think.
Yeah, that's what you think.
Yep.
So anyways, so today's topic is going to be about love languages. And studies show that when couples understand each other's love language, they experience fewer conflicts and they feel more emotionally connected.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, it totally makes sense because I know from experience, when I know your love languages and I'm able to communicate or show love the way you want to receive love, it basically shows you that I'm paying attention.
Yeah,
that
I feel
care.
like you understand me, like you know me.
Yep.
And so I love that. The common language that you and I both speak is English.
Yes.
I guess it would be equivalent to you speaking to me in a language I understand
yeah.
versus the language that you want to speak to me, right? Like, let's say you only spoke Japanese.
Yes, but you don't know Japanese.
But I don't know Japanese.
And neither do I.
Exactly. But let's just say you did,
Okay.
and you insisted on trying to communicate with me in Japanese. That won't go over too well.
Right, because you would be frustrated because you wouldn't understand anything I was saying.
Exactly.
Unless I just said teriyaki.
Exactly.
Yeah,
right?
it makes a lot of sense.
It makes a whole lot of sense. So today, the concept of love language, where you and I learned it, we learned it from a book.
Yeah.
The 5 Love Languages, The Secret to Love That Lasts.
Gary Chapman.
Yep, Dr. Gary Chapman.
I remember we were on vacation and I think we were talking about some stuff, and I don't know why I picked up the book, but we were on vacation. I was on the beach and I was reading the book, and the guy came up to me on the beach that was
in Jamaica.
In Jamaica. That's right.
Yeah.
And he was asking if I wanted drinks or whatever, and he saw my book. He was like, "Oh man," he's like, "That's a good book," and I was like, "Yes, it is, sir." It was funny because I was like, "Okay, I guess I'm doing the right thing right now," as I'm relaxing on the beach.
Yeah, you were trying to learn my love language on that vacation. That was nice. That was really good. So the idea of the 5 love languages that Dr. Gary Chapman introduced us to is that everyone has a primary way that they give and receive love.
Yep.
And this was really from many years of him counseling couples. And he found that the dissatisfaction that often couples portrayed, they stemmed from a failure to communicate love in ways that resonate with one another.
Yeah.
And so those years of witnessing that, observing that with the couples that came in to meet with him, prompted him to write this book, The 5 Love Languages, The Secret to Love That Lasts. And it's actually sold over 20 million copies, including the one you bought.
Yes, we got one.
Exactly. Exactly. And he observed when he was counseling couples that we naturally, like we meaning people, naturally express love in the way that we prefer to receive it.
Right.
And it leads to mismatches when partners have different primary love languages.
Right. Yes. People, I think the disconnect is that people are like, okay, so how do I love my wife? How do I love her? How do I show love? And they're like, well, the only way that I understand love is this way. So I'm going to do it that same way to my spouse.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you don't get the same response because your spouse doesn't really feel loved when you express love in that way. You may feel great. You know what I mean? It makes you feel like you're on top of the world. But for them, it's just different, right? It's just something that you have to just understand.
Yeah. And, this actually reminds me of a couple that I had worked with. And I remember he felt so frustrated because he thought that he was demonstrating love to his wife so often. Like he loved to buy her gifts. It was always buying her gifts. And he felt like his wife didn't really appreciate it to the extent that he was expecting her to.
Yeah.
And it really, really annoyed him.
Yep.
But what he was missing was that his wife really, like, she received love through acts of service. To her, she was running around taking care of a bunch of young kids, her babies, and she just wanted some help.
Yeah.
She just wanted some help, but help where she didn't have to ask for it. It just would happen because he saw that she could use the help.
Yeah.
And that having someone who recognized how hard she was working at home and how tired she was and would, go and help with the kids or whatever. It was really how she received love.
Yep.
And so they were totally missing each other there because he's like, I'm trying so hard. I bought her that bracelet. I bought her this and that. She's like, thank you so much.
Isn't there some value in the effort, though?
Yes.
I mean, do people appreciate that as much as they probably should? You know what I mean? So I'm just thinking about, all right, so if somebody gives gifts and they feel like that's the way that they want to show love to their spouse, but their spouse doesn't, that's not one of their love languages.
Yeah.
So they don't receive love in that way. Isn't it still right for them to still appreciate it? You know what I mean? So I'm just thinking about it from that perspective because you're like, hey, I'm making an effort. You know what I mean? I'm buying you stuff. I'm thinking about you. I'm trying to make you happy in some sort of way. Obviously, it's not the same language that you're speaking.
Yeah.
But effort is there. So I guess it would be different if you just weren't doing anything whatsoever, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely correct. We should always be appreciative, right? If we're looking for the good in our relationship and our spouse, we should be thankful.
Yes.
We talk about how, if nothing else, kindness really is the best thing you could offer to your spouse in your relationship, is just be kind.
Yes.
Right? Be kind to each other. And part of being kind is recognizing the effort, right? And so, of course, we appreciate what it is that our spouse does for us, even if it may not be our primary love language. But I guess if you wanted to really create the greatest impact, where you are not just showing love, but you are helping your spouse to feel understood.
Yeah.
You're helping your spouse to feel seen and meet needs that she has that you can actually help her with. To me, when you make the effort to show her love in other ways that where maybe it's not her primary love language and she may not receive love in that way as easily, it's like a diluted version of the real thing.
Right. So basically what you're saying is if you're going to make the effort in the way that's going to make the most impact.
Yeah, exactly. Because the impact is really so much greater when you're speaking in the same language.
I got you.
Right?
Yeah, I got you. Well, I already know yours, but we'll talk about that. So anyway, let's get into what these things are. What are the specific love languages? So he says there's 5 of them,
There's 5,
right?
yes.
5 of them. And we've talked about this in a previous episode.
Yes, we have done this episode a couple of years ago.
Yeah, a while ago. But I'll speak on the first one, which is words of affirmation.
Words of affirmation.
Words of
what
affirmation
is that?
Really is just a verbal expression of love. It's like compliments, it's encouragement, it is just kind words to your spouse. You know your spouse already.
Yeah.
What makes them feel good when you say things to them? Oh, man, you look good today. You know what I mean? Or, man, I really love that dress. Or, man, whatever you made, whatever you put in that chili or whatever it is, right? That chicken, man, that was awesome. It tasted delicious. Or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Encourage you on whatever thing that you've been working on. I'm proud of you. Those are words of affirmation. And I know this is one of yours.
One of mine. I've got 5. No.
She got all 5. She's like the most complicated. No, you don't have all 5.
No, I don't. All right. So the next one is acts of service.
Yeah.
Acts of service. So acts of service are actions that ease your partner's burden or show care through helpful gestures.
Yep.
Right. So like I mentioned it earlier. So doing the dishes or running an errand or doing something for them that would take something off of their plate.
Yes. Yeah. Thinking about something that they are stressed about or anxious about or whatever. And you say, you know what? I'm going to take care of that for you.
You know what's interesting? In my practice, so many women have this as their primary love language.
Including you.
Including me. And it's interesting because I almost feel like we graduate to this.
Yeah.
Like there are certain seasons, because one of the things that we should explain is that you have a primary love language, which is the way that you receive love with the greatest impact.
Yeah.
And most of us have secondary or even tertiary love languages. And what, were you impressed because I said tertiary?
Over there using big words and stuff. Okay.
Hey, you just paused right there. You're like, I saw.
I was waiting for that third one. I was like, oh, what's she gonna say? Go ahead.
I saw that impressed look on your face. No. But we have other love languages, and so there's a primary. So it made me lose my train of thought here.
Yeah.
So there's the primary love language, and then there's a secondary, tertiary, or whatever it might be. And for a lot of people, they may switch which one their primary love language is depending on the season they're in their life. So mine may have started off as words of affirmation.
Yes.
Right, in my younger years. And then you get to a point where you're up to your eyeballs with things to do and you feel buried in all your responsibilities. And so to have your spouse notice it and then take it one step further and actually do something to help you with it.
Right.
Gosh, the impact is just so amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I can definitely see that, because having so much to do can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
Right. And to have your spouse recognize that and want to alleviate some of the burden and some of the pressure that's on you, I think can go a long way.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
So what's the third one?
A third one is what everybody would say is probably everybody's love language, but maybe not, is receiving gifts.
You think so?
Yeah. I really think that most guys, especially in the beginning of their relationships, feel like receiving gifts is their spouse's love language. Which is why, it's Valentine's Day, you get flowers and you get chocolate, that type of stuff. And then I'm going to get her a ring or a necklace or a bracelet. You always think about buying something for your spouse. I think that's it's not basic, but I think that's the first thing that a lot of men, I believe, feel are the ways that they should show love to their spouse.
But explain how receiving gifts isn't what many of us think it is.
So receiving gifts, I think giving gifts to someone has to have some sort of thought as to what are the things that they need, what are the things that they desire, what are the things that you may cherish that I can provide for you, that when you receive it, you say, wow, you know what? You really thought about this, because I've been talking about it in passing a couple of times and nothing after that, but you saw that this was a need and you gave it to me. You know what I mean? And so to me, that is the most impactful way to give gifts. And for someone that's receiving gifts, that's awesome, because they feel like you paid attention and that you love them because you actually were thoughtful about the gift that you gave them.
That's a really good point that leads me to this thought. So if you have receiving gifts as your primary love language, it's rarely about the gift. It is almost 100% about the thought
That's right.
that came with the gift, right? It's the fact that you took the time to think about me.
Yes.
It's you took the time out of your day to do something for me, right? That is what receiving gifts as a primary love language is about. It's rarely about the gift. It's not about materialism. It is really about the thought that comes from.
Which is why you hate when people give gift cards.
Yeah.
That's the thing that you cannot stand. He's like, if somebody goes to the store and, not knocking anybody that does that, because I don't mind it. You know what I mean? I just go buy something anyway. But, it's for you, it feels like they didn't put much effort into it. And so that's why we don't do that in our house.
You're not allowed to give me a gift card.
We're not allowed to do so.
Unless you came home just out of the blue one day. It's not a birthday. It's not an anniversary, Christmas, nothing like that. But you came home and you're like, babe, I got you this gift card for a spa day.
I knew you were going to say
right?
that. I was waiting for a massage or a spa.
Yeah, for a spa day just out of the blue.
All right.
So that I will take gift cards all day long.
Yeah, for sure.
So what's the next one?
Quality time. That's an important one because I like this one. This is mine. One of mine. But just giving undivided attention.
Yes.
Being present and just sharing meaningful conversation. And I think that is, people get busy, right? And they come home from work, they want to relax, they want to watch TV, they want to do whatever, but there's not a whole lot of things in this world that can substitute time and intentional time, I think, as well. So the time that we're spending here together, this is like meaningful time. So even if we weren't doing a podcast and we're just having a conversation, this will fulfill the quality time bucket. You know what I mean? Even just for me, sometimes it doesn't even need to be a conversation. It just needs to be like, let's just kind of hang out on the couch and I don't know, just talk, right? Or watch TV or whatever it is. I think those things are important.
Yeah, what's funny is I know that quality time has become more and more your thing, and your favorite time for us to experience that quality time is the moment I open my laptop to start working. All of a sudden, you're very interested in what I'm doing, and that's when I have to close my laptop and give you my undivided attention.
You're not wrong. I don't know if I do that on purpose. It just
I'm like, I've been sitting here next to you for 30 minutes and you haven't wanted anything or noticed anything. And so then I get my laptop, I open it up, I'm like, well, we're gonna sit side by side and I'm gonna work.
Might as well get some,
and
be productive.
Suddenly that's when you're like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What's going on? How was your day? Let's talk.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I guess
Close
we're doing
that
this.
laptop.
Yep, we're doing this, right? So the last one is physical touch. Physical touch. So that is the physical expressions of love. And it's not always sexual, right? It doesn't automatically translate into sexual touch, but it could be hugs. Yeah. Could be kisses. It could be holding hands or, a massage. Yeah. A back rub, a foot rub, whatever that might be.
Yep. Yeah. Could be just when you're in a car, you just touch my hand or put your hand on my leg or whatever it is. I think all those things are like qualify for physical touch. And you're right. It doesn't always have to be sexual. It just needs to be, I think, sensual, right? And loving.
Yeah, because I think,
not a pat on the back. I'm not looking for a pat on the back.
the good boy. No, but I think even like when I start rubbing your head, we're sitting there together and I put my hand on the back of your head and I just start like caressing it gently. Yeah. Right? Or
because you can't put your fingers through my hair because I have no hair.
Yeah, because I can't run my fingers through your hair. But that right there is something that you really enjoy because for a long time, physical touch had been your primary love language, right? And then now I feel like you've become more complex. Yeah. I'm not even saying complicated. You're just more complex because now I could look at this list and I'm like, okay, he likes physical touch. He likes quality time. He likes words of affirmation. You receive love in all those ways. Yeah. But out of those 5, which do you think your primary is at this point, this season?
Probably, I think it's probably time.
quality time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. I think that we've transitioned to that through the years.
Yeah. Because I think, with kids and work and all that stuff, you realize how much time we spend away from each other and you kind of crave it. That's just me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we've been talking about how to resolve conflict in the right way with this communication series that we've been doing. And so really, like you said in the beginning, knowing your spouse's love language and actually applying it, doing it every day, like showing them love in that way is, it's huge. It's really beneficial.
Yeah.
It's beneficial in communication. It's beneficial in conflict management or conflict resolution. It's very likely something that helps you guys to connect.
Yes.
Because we've been talking about that a lot too.
That was the word that I felt. And I think your spouse will feel more oneness with you. I think that's a word that we haven't probably said as much, but they'll feel like, oh my goodness, I feel like we are truly connected, and not just like physically, but like emotionally.
So you and I both know our love languages.
Yeah.
Right? How can our listeners discover what their spouse is or even their own love languages?
Well, I think number one, besides reading the book,
the book. Important. Yes, we will put a link to the book in the show notes.
Yes,
I will put that link in there. So if you want to,
I think it's about being a detective, right? Be an observant person. Observe your wife or your husband in the wild. Understand the things that they kind of gravitate towards, how they express love, and I think those things will probably give you some clues. That
right there, how they express love. So here is what's so interesting. So the way we tend to receive love, our primary love language is usually also the way that we demonstrate love, we give love. And so if you want to know what your spouse's love language is, just watch them and watch how they give you love. Right. If they're constantly affirming you, if they're constantly encouraging you and telling you how proud they are of you and you can do it, then chances are
that might be a clue.
Yeah, exactly. Like if they're appreciating you, they probably want to be appreciated too.
Yeah.
And so pay attention to how they're showing you love. And it's a really, really good chance that is also how they prefer
to receive love as well. Yeah,
exactly.
And I think also like asking questions. Ask them. I think point blank, like, what are the things that make you feel loved? Like, how do you like to receive love? You know what I mean?
Yep.
Is it gifts? Is it actions? Is it whatever? I mean, I think there's nothing wrong with that.
And, you'll hear their complaints too. That's the other thing. Like, pay attention to what they're complaining about.
Yeah.
If you hear your spouse saying, gosh, we never have sex, right? Or you never want to hold my hand.
Right.
You never want to touch me. Or we don't spend time together anymore. Right? If they're complaining about something, chances are they are lacking in that area and they're asking for you to show them love in that way.
Yeah. They're telling you through a complaint, and it can be easily fulfilled by you just listening and say, oh, okay, that's probably the way, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the last way.
We've done this, right?
Yeah.
The quiz.
What was it? Oh,
talking about the quiz? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So we did the love language. Well, read the book, did the quiz, and I think sometimes it's surprising. You know what I mean? Sometimes the quiz spits out some things that you didn't even realize, but then you're like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I think you're right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think in addition to the other three things that we talked about, doing a quiz can kind of validate, I believe.
Yes. And we'll put a link to the quiz in the show notes as well. So if you guys don't know your love languages yet, let's take that quiz and see if you can figure it out.
Yeah.
Right. And so, if you've never tried to show love in your spouse's primary love language, it might feel unnatural.
Yeah.
At first. That's what many of my clients tell me when they learn how to speak to each other in the right way, when they practice active listening and then they speak with I feel statements and they try that on their own.
Just unfamiliar.
Yeah. And they say they feel really awkward at first. And that's okay. That's okay. It gets easier with practice.
Yeah.
And, remind yourself that you are serving your spouse by doing this. You are giving them a gift because this is truly like the most impactful way for them to receive love from you. And so it might feel weird. It might feel unnatural, awkward. That's
but
okay.
guess what? If you get a good response, then hey, I guess that unnatural feeling's okay. I just have to get used to it.
Yes.
Because if you're liking it and you're liking the attention that you're getting, then I'm like, okay, well, maybe I need to do this more often.
Yeah. Well, what if your love language is different from one another? Like what if my love language is acts of service and yours is quality time?
Yeah. Well, I think you can do both at the same time. I don't see an issue with that because we all understand that our spouse is thinking about us, right? And they're trying to satisfy our needs. So if I know that yours is acts of service, then I'll take care of certain things. I'll do things around the house and do whatever. And then after that, then you'll feel so loved that you'll just want to spend time with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I don't know if it really is a problem or an issue if you have to balance the two different things. It's just like once your spouse feels loved, then they'll want to love you in the same way. They'll want to reciprocate, right? And they'll want to show you love in the same way that they received it.
You actually demonstrated this tonight, honey. So tonight I got up to go make dinner and we were all so tired. Like we all kind of took a 15-minute nap on the couch because we were so tired. But I knew I had to get up to go make dinner. And I got up and you got up with me and you started helping me make dinner.
Yeah.
And so you were giving me love through acts of service, but at the same time, the two of us were in the kitchen together. And so we were spending quality time with each other.
Yeah.
And so we were able to do that simultaneously.
Two at the same time.
Yeah.
It's a 2 for 1.
Yeah. And we didn't even know that this was what we were going to talk about tonight.
Not at all.
Right?
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. You weren't trying to come up with examples for how I could give you an attaboy on the air.
So she can talk about it. No, not at all.
Yeah. So I hope that that's been helpful. I mean, we've got, let's summarize the 5 love languages. We have words of affirmation.
Yeah. Acts of service.
Quality time.
Receiving gifts.
And physical touch. Physical touch. And again, if you don't know your spouse's love language, you can ask them, you can observe them, you can pay attention to what they're complaining about, you can get the book, right? The 5 love languages, Secrets to Lasting Love. And we'll put a link in the show notes because I don't know if I butchered the name of that book. And also take the quiz, which we will also put a link to that in the show notes.
And share your love languages are. And also tell us if you felt like it was different than what you thought. But what we're excited about is we definitely want to hear how that has changed your relationship and your connection.
Yeah. So this week, what we're going to challenge you guys to do is take 10 minutes. Right? It doesn't even have to take too much of your time and talk about this. Talk about what you guys think each of your love language is. And, if you're not sure what that is, take the quiz together. Just go in the show notes, take the quiz together, then talk about it. Talk about the different ways that your spouse can show you love and then ask them how they can feel love from you.
Yeah.
And, use that as an opportunity to grow closer together and just build that emotional connection with one another.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed this episode and we will see you next week.